So, it got a new movie.
Many people remember the 90s TV miniseries based on one of prolific horror writer Stephen King's most famous books very fondly. But while there was a lot of good about it, it was definitely a watered down version with tons of content missing, and it just never got quite as wild as the book. Which is something this new movie and its coming sequel hope to change. But this does seem to be a theme with movies based on Stephen King's work. Aside from a few films regarded as utter masterpieces like Shawshank Redemption or Misery, King-based films have a reputation of being somewhere between okay and unbearably terrible.
So one has to ask themselves, if nobody but King can do King right, then why didn't King just direct some movies himself? I mean, surely he'd know how to adapt his own work, right? And it turns out he actually did do that. Once.
In 1986, film trailers began to pop up for a movie called Maximum Overdrive. And in all of these trailers, King himself would appear and address the audience directly over his grievances with films based on his work, saying things like,
"And I finally decided if you want something done right, you ought to do it yourself.
And
I just wanted someone to do Stephen King right.
And
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you."
And it was even produced by Dino De Laurentiis, who had produced a series of successful films, including various horror films and sequels, among which we find the damn fine Stephen King adaptation The Dead Zone, starring Christopher Walken. So with Laurentiis and King at the helm, things were looking pretty great for King fans.
And yet, this would be the only time that King ever directed a theatrical film based on one of his books. Why is that, you ask? Well,
the movie begins with a brief bit of text explaining to us that the Earth is going to be caught in the tail of a comet called Rhea M for a few days. And we immediately get to see the effect this has on Earth when a cameoing Stephen King himself goes to take out some money at the ATM.
Honey, come on over here, sugar buns. This machine just called me an asshole.
I'm not even sure this is a scripted scene. I think that might just be what happened when he went to get his paycheck for writing Kingdom Hospital. Oh shit, never mind. Here comes the intro credits. Hell yeah, keep it up, this is awesome!
We then get another machine mishap as a large bridge and its traffic lights malfunction, causing a bunch of cars to get stuck on the bridge as it rises, creating mass chaos as people start to panic.
Oh sure, this is just typical Americans going into a big mass panic at a couple of car crashes and a drowning or two. You guys really need to relax. Like us! We got attacked by a fucking dragon and didn't flinch.
Even AC/DC dies, which probably explains why they keep haunting this movie's soundtrack. So strange things seem to be happening all over, but we ultimately follow a blatantly copyright-infringing toy truck to our film's main location, a truck stop called the Dixie Boy. Here we meet our hero, Billy Robinson. Billy is on parole and working at the truck stop for a seriously assholish boss that just loves to abuse his power over the poor guy, letting us know just who to hate right away in classic King fashion. But the strange events soon start occurring at the Dixie Boy as well. One of the toy truck drivers gets splashed in the eyes with gasoline, the turkey carver seems to come to life on its own and cut the waitress's arm, and all of the machines in the game room start malfunctioning, much to one guest's delight.
You know, I would make a joke about how weird it is to be hypnotized by an arcade machine, but to be perfectly honest, that's pretty much the face I make anytime I'm at an arcade, so...
We then cut to a random junior baseball game where the coach decides to treat his players to some soda. Unfortunately, the soda machine has other plans.
Huh? Oh!
Oh! What the hell?
Man, the gritty reboot of Silent Movie doesn't fuck around.
Come on, coach.
Forget it, kid, he's a goner! Get your bike and get out of there!
Okay, can someone someone remind me what I'm watching here? Because it's starting to feel like a Looney Tunes short.
Well, one kid does manage to escape, accompanied by the death-defying tones of AC/DC. And since we're still introducing characters, we then cut to elsewhere in the world where a young woman named Brett is hitchhiking with a Bible salesman who seems to be just a little bit too fond of her.
Pull in there. And if you don't get your hand off my leg, you're going to be wiping your ass with a hook the next time you take a dump.
That's right, I never heard no talk like that when I was a boy.
Well, did you routinely get them alone in cramped spaces and start groping their legs back then too? Because that might have something to do with it, asshole!
At least the Green Goblin truck almost runs him over when he throws a shit fit after they arrive at the truck stop. There is some justice in the world. And finally, we meet a fresh, newlywed couple who are just out for a drive to their honeymoon when they come upon a grisly sight.
Kurt? Is he dead?
No, he's resting.
They then instantly get attacked by a rogue old car driving on its own, and they barely manage to escape to the dulcet tone of AC/DC. Back at the Dixie Boy, Billy is trying to figure out why all these accidents keep happening and inspects the toy truck in order to— Oh, come on!
Can you believe this, Randy? What kind of wise guy paints stuff like that on a goddamn toy truck? I mean, we could get in real trouble with parents and toy shops for having such crap written on... What do you mean, company tagline?
Brett decides to join him and waxes philosophical for a bit about how remote the Dixie Boy actually is.
Look at that. There's nothing. You ever see that much nothing at 10:15 in the morning, hero?
Yeah, when I was looking for some integrity in the Netflix Death Note movie.
God damn!
Back with the kid from the baseball game, we get one of the film's most genuinely creepy scenes as he rides through the streets of suburbia, seeing the results of the machine uprising for himself. With the creepiness ramped up by the oh-so-neck-hair teasing tones of AC/DC, of course.
All the electrical appliances. If you have a truck or car...
Wait, kid, come back! We're gonna do Lawnmower Man next! It'll be a hit, I promise! Back at the truck stop, the guy who got gasoline in his eyes tries to leave to look for his son Deke, the kid with the bike. The rest of the gang fail to fully stop him from going outside, where one of the trucks kill him immediately. And trashes the Bible salesman's car while he's at it.
Son of a bitch! Out of the way, bitch! I certainly don't remember Bible salesmen talking like that when I was a boy.
Somehow thinking he can argue with what, as far as he knows, is an insane homicidal truck driver, he steps outside to yell and gets rammed by the toy truck.
That's either really shallow water, or people actually do float down there.
Hendershot, the asshole-ish owner of the Dixie Boy, tries to call the police while Billy and the others cover up the corpses, all while the truck starts to menacingly circle the truck stop to let them all know that they're caught in a trap. In the meantime, after barely surviving an encounter with a spontaneously combusting truck and some more AC/DC music, the newlyweds from before arrive at the truck stop, with the husband Curtis insisting on braving the barrier and getting inside to reach a phone. His wife, whose angelic voice forces me to refer to as Olive Oil from here on out, isn't too fond of the idea.
No, you don't! They'll gang up on us and squash us!
I can do it!
Oh, so we can be inside where they are?
What do you think's gonna happen to us if we stay out here?
You'll have a decent shot at getting to a more secure and remote location with less machinery for as long as you still have gas.
Curtis's plan almost works, but they get nicked by a truck that overturns their car, trapping Olive Oil inside it when she gets stuck in the seatbelts. Billy and Brett run to help her with the knives they apparently both carry, and manage to get her free, but one of the trucks immediately starts chasing the lot of them.
All right, Bubba, to give it up your home sick. Fucking truck's supposed to be depot.
Honey, you're bleeding like a stuffed pig.
Where'd you get all that stuff?
Oh, we got a whole bunch of
Shut
stuff
up,
down here.
Joey. Found it in my Christmas stocking, Bubba.
Well, it's a fine time to bring it out, you ho-ho hunk of shit!
So, yeah, now everyone but the kid is stuck in the truck stop, and Billy and Brett take a moment to bond over their concealed weaponry.
Mother's helper?
A girl hitching her way down to Florida needs some protection.
Yeah? That's what you're doing?
Yeah. That's what I was doing before every machine in the world went into maximum overdrive.
Oh shit, you know what this means!
Oh, and in case you're wondering how the kid is doing. Hey kid, wanna be a night flyer?
He's fine.
Billy and Brett then discover that Hendershot has a whole basement full of weapons, which raises an awful lot of questions. But Hendershot browbeats Billy into not asking questions by telling Brett that he's on parole for a botched armed robbery, something Billy is clearly deeply ashamed of. But hey, it's nothing a little sex can't fix apparently.
I'll tell you one thing.
What's that?
You sure make love like a hero.
So, in other words, you could say that you were holding out for a hero?
And because nothing is more romantic after a round of trauma-induced horizontal mambo, Brett theorizes that the comet we were told about in the opening narration might be what's causing everything.
Look at that light.
You know what I think?
What?
I think it's the comet. You know, we've been in its tail for almost 12 hours. And if it is that comet that's making everything go crazy, then all we gotta do is stay alive for the next 7 days.
7 days? Hello?
7 days.
Oh, okay. Seven days.
While Billy brings up a plan to escape to a small island by boat and wait out the trouble, the waitress who got caught earlier goes on a drunken ramble and decides to, of all things, go yell at the trucks.
You can! We made you! We're just in some loyalty, you puky thing! We made you!
I mean, you certainly scream like someone giving birth to a dump truck, so I guess you have a point.
The lot get her back inside and try to simply have some dinner, and Billy notices that the trucks seem to be decreasing in activity and numbers, theorizing that they are running out of fuel.
Maybe tomorrow it'll be our world again.
I don't know. Was it ever?
Now that is a Jaden Smith tweet if ever I heard one. When they start hearing some anguished wails from outside, it turns out the Bible salesman is still alive, and Curtis and Billy set out on a mission to go save him by crawling through the drainage pipes to the scatological tones of AC/DC. Deke gets to the Bible salesman first, but he dies by the time Curtis and Billy arrive. The three of them then quickly dive back inside the pipes before a nearby truck can get them, and make it back to the truck stop where Hendershot takes out the truck following them with his rocket launcher.
Bill, where's my dad?
Done got scrubbed by one of them big boys out there. Tough break, kid.
You unbelievable shithead.
Hold on, Vicky.
Just a little lesson in manners from the road twitch.
So yeah, Deke is definitely gonna have to spend some time dealing with the trauma of losing his father, or he can sit and blow soap bubbles 5 minutes later. That's cool. I guess we all cope in our own ways. A while later, things start getting strange outside as more trucks arrive, accompanied by a military rifle on wheels. Hendershot, being the genius that he is, decides that now is the time to step outside and try to shoot all of them at once, and gets gunned down for his trouble. As does that guy with the green shirt. My favorite character. And some other guy. My favorite character. The waitress doesn't take this too kindly and steps outside to once again ramble about making them, and unsurprisingly get shot, though in her fall she manages to blow up a fuel truck with a rocket launcher. It's at this point that the military vehicle apparently has enough and starts honking some demands in Morse code, which Deke naturally just so happens to know by heart.
Well, what a lucky break this is. How convenient that this one random child just so happens to know perfect Morse code. Isn't that good for everybody? Look man, I was in the Boy Scouts as a kid, and true, we did have Morse code lessons, but there certainly wasn't a single moment outside of that clubhouse where I could decipher anything beyond an SOS. This is stretching it, to say the least.
Anyway, the trucks demand that the humans refuel them with the threat of death otherwise, and a lot of them end up taking turns fueling the many trucks that seem to come from all over the country now, basically being worked to exhaustion until the whole place runs dry. At which point the trucks throw a madly honking shit fit, which I can't help but find kind of hilarious.
It's fun while it lasted, but we're all out.
Remember that scene in Daybreakers where all the vampires freak out because they can't get their favorite blood type in their coffee? This kind of reminds me of that. You know, it's starting to dawn on me that this is kind of a weird movie.
Don't believe me? Then listen to Billy's delirious rambling about the situation. Set to the comforting tones of AC/DC, of course, and just try to wrap your mind around it.
It isn't a comet, you know. It's a broom.
What?
Imagine you're a race of aliens, right? And you're looking for a new place to live. So here's Earth. Well, it's like this big old house. And it's kind of polluted. And they send in their interstellar house cleaners. Send in their broom. Sweep us all up.
Oh my god. Okay, so in case you've never actually read a Stephen King book, this whole speech, this whole the aliens are a broom thing, it's actually pretty typical of his writing style. He very often has characters go on some inner monologue that compares the horror to something mundane in order to call forth a sense of dreadful familiarity in the reader. And you know, usually it works. But that's because usually it's not being said out loud while being enslaved by sentient alien trucks. This isn't exactly the kind of story that involves thoughtful monologue. Jesus!
So after talking that nonsense for a bit, Billy is back on his feet and ready to continue fueling the killer trucks once more with their underground reserves. But this time, he has a plan.
You know, I just want to point this out. This thing killed like 5 people and managed to threaten everybody at the truck stop into slaving for a full day fueling trucks, despite the fact that they're sitting on a basement filled to the brim with weapons, including a goddamn rocket launcher. And all it took to defeat it was a bitch slap and a grenade. Really?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
Oh, I'm terrified, King, but not of the trucks. No, I'm scared of the hero's incompetence. And you know what? That actually goes for the trucks too.
They sent one gun. I know there's probably not a huge amount of these lying around and they probably sent them to other truck stops too, but they sent one gun to the place that blew up a bunch of trucks. They failed to grasp the concept of a gas station running out of fuel and just sort of hang around moping about it. And even then, it's only after they've killed a bunch of people that they're all like, oh shit, we forgot about fuel.
Nobody in this situation even deserves to win. Nobody.
So while Billy is off being a hero, one of the other workers clears the path in the drainage pipe Curtis and Billy went through earlier. And while the trucks throw a fit over the loss of their gun and wreck the Dixie Boy, everybody runs to the pipes and manages to escape the truck stop. And of course, it's all set to the victorious tones of AC/DC. Man, just look at the fucking trucks go! Now, is it me or do they actually kind of look like they're having fun? Well, at least until a fuel truck causes some sparks. Oops. Their troubles aren't quite done, however, as they're still being chased by the Willem Dafoe truck, and all machines are trying to rat them out.
Human deer, 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 human deer.
This is for my dad, you not enough son of a bitch.
Oh, yep, that's going on the kitty one-liner shelf.
This is for my dad, you not enough son of a bitch.
Happy Father's Day, slugger.
Fuck you, Lucky Charms.
Whores don't
Get a second chance. Don't fuck with me.
Wow, this is starting to become quite a nice little collection.
So after making sure that everybody knows how much Deke's balls have dropped by shooting the hell out of a defenseless burger shop intercom, the gang makes it to a pier in order to follow their earlier plan to steal a boat, since those apparently aren't being controlled, and sail to a small island to wait out the comet's passing. But uh-oh, somebody's getting greedy. Thankfully, Billy shoots the truck with the rocket launcher that only fires plot-relevant rockets, and that's it. Just like that, they defeat all the trucks, escape to sea, and survive the movie to the bewildering tones of AC/DC.
Alright.
Oh my god. A Russian weather satellite that happened to be equipped with a laser cannon and nukes.
Those silly Russians and their weather nukes. I mean, what are those kooky commies gonna come up with next?
It's the 80s. Do a lot of coke and vote for Ronald Reagan.
Curtis, when can we get off this boat? You know I get seasick.
What does that mean? Do the machines stop rebelling? Is everybody still on the run because they didn't stop rebelling? Did they all join the cast of Survivor? Did they stay on the island and form a Lord of the Flies society? What? You're not being clever here. You're being vague. That is not the same thing. Is it over or not? Well, whether or not the main cast troubles are over, the movie certainly is. And so was Stephen King's career as a film director.
You ever watch a movie that just left you thinking, man, what the hell were they on when they made this? Well, in this case, the answer is cocaine.
Yes, by his own admission, this was during Stephen King's infamous drug addiction and alcoholism years, and he claims to have been absolutely coked out of his mind pretty much 24/7 while making this movie, and it fucking shows. I mean, just look at his face in the trailers. Does this look like the face of a man who starts his day with a stack of pancakes and a cup of joe? It sure does explain a lot too, like the weird but oddly memorable Green Goblin truck, the hilarious broom speech, the soundtrack consisting entirely of AC/DC, and the complete lack of rhyme or reason as to which machines are alive and which aren't.
Curiously enough, it's not even particularly faithful to the short story it's an adaptation of, which is usually King's main gripe with adaptations of his work.
But don't worry, King, Trimark Pictures got you covered, cause in '97 they released the TV movie Trucks, supposed to be a somewhat more faithful adaptation of the same short story.
And it is honestly really boring, aside from a couple of really bizarre scenes in the home video release.
I originally wanted to do a side-by-side comparison of these two, but nah, give this one a skip.
Maximum Overdrive, on the other hand, is a treat of a train wreck. Oh, it's a terrible movie. It's stupid, it makes no sense, and it's about as scary as picking out a t-shirt for the day. And it is so much fun.
And hey, not everything about it is bad. AC/DC actually wrote some new songs specifically for this movie, including Who Made Who. The album title Who Made Who is pretty much just the Maximum Overdrive soundtrack, so we did get some rad shit out of this thing.
But ultimately, this movie just proves that no, not even Stephen King can do King right. But this new It movie does look like it might be on the right track, and I for one can't wait to see it. So until next time, folks, stay off the road and I'll see you later. Bye!
Hey guys and gals, and thanks a bunch for watching my video. If you liked what you saw, please press the like button and leave me a comment. And if you want to see me geek out over more weird movies, cartoons, comic books and games, subscribe to my channel and check out some of my other videos. You can also find me on most social media such as Facebook and Twitter, and in case you're feeling super generous and really like my stuff, you can even support me on Patreon. There are links for all of that stuff in the description below. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.